Hello, faithful, and welcome to a new edition here of Heaven's Metal, streaming radio's top 10 songs. Shout, coming up next. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Heaven's Metal, streaming radio top 10 songs. I am your host, Keven Crothers, station manager for Heaven's Metal Streaming Radio, staff writer for Heaven's Metal Magazine. Formerly, we used to be White Throne Metal Radio. Today, we want to talk to you about top 10 songs from Christian hard rock melodic metal band Shout. Of course, you know why you're here. We all loved Shout back in the day. Shout, was the brainchild of Idol Cure guitar player Chuck King and former Joshua member Ken Tamplin, who provided guitar and vocals on the 1985 album from Joshua entitled Surrender that was released on F&M Records in Europe. That album would be subsequently remixed, reissued in 92 on Ocean Records, and it's very different than the original in some respects. The two of them met, through an ad in the Music Recycler in Southern California back pre-internet days. It was a print publication for musicians looking basically for used gear. New band members, guys looking to jam, places to rent for rehearsal space, everything that you'd probably do online now. Back then, you went to the music store, you went to a record store, and there would be stacks of these things just piled up. Pick one up, and you'd find out about gigs, shows, so-and-so's looking for band members, that kind of thing. Very different than the way we do it nowadays, and Chuck apparently had called Ken and never even bothered to look at the recycler before, apparently. And because of that phone call, which I think you could say was some divine providence involved, Shout would be born. With a common love of Jesus Christ and melodic hard rock metal, bands such as Heart, Survivor, Quiet Riot, Foreigner, Tesla, and Whitesnake, they created a 4-song demo which Tamplin attempted to pitch to multiple secular labels, people that he had met and gotten to know through his time in Joshua. Unable to get a contract with from those songs, without more songs being, produced, they didn't have the money to do more demos. They signed a deal with Frontline Records, hoping that it would be a one-off record deal. A lot of times small labels would do that. They'd sign a band, they put a record out, and then a big label would buy out the album, buy out the contract. Unfortunately, I suppose that wasn't the case with Frontline. That's the way it was in 1988. Their debut album, It Won't Be Long, came out in 1988. And of course, being me that I am, I still have my vinyl here. This is an original vinyl on Frontline Records from 1988, trying to avoid all the glare there. And really, I remember working at Dearborn's Bible Bookstore, and I heard this band Shout was coming out on Frontline. Well, I'd been with White Throne Magazine for a couple of years back then, and I'm like, who the heck is Shout? Never heard of Shout. Why isn't Eternal Right getting signed? Why isn't Vengeance signed? Who's Shout? And then it comes out. Now, this debut, which at the time, I remember I bought it and I listened to it. And I like the heavier stuff. This is the 2019 remaster reissue on Girder Records with the demo that I mentioned earlier. It sounds quite good on the remaster there. And, it definitely had a more AOR kind of almost hard rock vibe. It was not what I would call traditional, quote-unquote, hair metal. It was more like Survivor. It was more like early Bon Jovi, I suppose. You know, Jafria, I guess, to a certain degree. It was not a metal album. It was a hard rock album with a few metal, some metal overtones. It featured some fine drum work from Dennis Holt from Kansas and AD, and too many other bands to mention, and also former House of Lords and Jufria guitarist Lanny Cordola, who provided the guitar solo for the title song, Shout. Yeah, it was Shout, all right? He contributed the solo to that song. And they did their thing. They went out, did the tours. They actually were unable to get out of that contract, so they had to put out a second record, which was called In Your Face. And In Your Face came out in 1989. There we go. So this one here, this is the original Frontline issue. Try to save the glare there. And I have an 8x12 of that photo. I just couldn't find it for the video. This was also remastered and reissued here about 2 years ago on Girder Records. Sounds great. It won't be long, kind of hinted at. In Your Face delivers. What was really a two-man project was now a full band with bass player and former Joshua member Lauren Robertson on bass and Joseph Caletta on drums, and Mark I'm going to butcher your name, Mark Hugenberger on keyboards. With everything that was kind of hinted at on the first record, the guitar playing and such, In Your Face delivers. It was a heavier record, a more metal album for 1989. They joked, if you haven't had an opportunity, there's a couple of what's called Frontline Rewind, hosted by Les Carlson of Bloodgood. There's a two-part episode of that, episode 71 and episode 72. You can find them on YouTube. If you want to hear more in-depth stuff about Shout and their history, you can check that out. It's a phenomenal story. And obviously Chuck and Ken get along incredibly well. So, and the title track of In Your Face featured guitar work from Marty Friedman, Lanny Cordola, Joey Price, Randy Hansen, Michelangelo, and Alex Massey. And on the original Frontline version, they actually went and broke down, and you're not going to be able to see this, I know, it's all washed out. But here, right here, there's a part here, sorry guys, there's a part here, every player, there we go, every player is listed, and how long their lead is. I mean, it's all throughout that song. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, that was not included on the Girder reissue, but that's okay. You can't get everything. That Girder reissue sounds fantastic. I had a cassette of this, long gone, unfortunately. So sometime after the touring for this album finished, the band essentially disbanded, you could say, or just stopped, because there was a legal issue, apparently, with another band who had trademarked the name Shout. And because I often wondered what happened. So as Ken has talked about on the Frontline Rewind episodes, this other band Shout trademarked the name and prevented Tamplin and Company here from using the name to perform live. They could produce records, but they could not play live under the name Shout. Hence, the band basically ceased to function at that point. Now, about 10 years later, there was a third Shout release, which I have here as well, called Shout Back. And this came out in 1999. Like many bands from the 80s, when it came into the 90s, and we're talking 10 years into the 90s now, this album, in some respects, is kind of a mishmash of styles. There's some really great stuff on here, and then you've got some cover songs from older bands. It's really kind of a mishmash. But there's still a couple of really solid gems on that record. So all of that being said, and here we are darn near 10 minutes into the video, let's get cracking on the top 10. Coming in at number 10 off of that 1999 album, Shout Back, album opener, Dreams for Sale.
Fast cars pick up as a movie star. It's all there to see. Hobnobs, big snobs, and booby jobs. The tangle the web we weave. They got dreams for sale. Yeah, they got dreams for sale.
In my opinion, that's a fantastic song. Could have been on In Your Face, could have definitely been on a third Shout record in 1990, something like that. It's got a great riff, a great hook. I loved it. The minute I put the CD in, I'm like, man, this rocks. This sounds fantastic. So Dreams for Sale comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 off of the debut album, Dancing Around the World.
Surprise to me, I love to play and sing. Get in the rhythm and we'll let those guitars ring. Dance groove and dance to the beat tonight. Oh, and we will say those feet goodbye. Kick off your shoes a while and enjoy.
A really fun, upbeat song that, is more of a, AOR, high energy rock song. And it's, again, a real upbeat fun. It's catchy. And Dancing Around the World comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8. And as we go through these, please understand, these are 10 favorites. Except for maybe the top 2 or 3, which, I would definitely say my favorite Shout songs. All of these songs are great songs. We just got to have a countdown, don't we? Coming in at number 8 off of In Your Face, When the Love Is Gone.
There's no denying. There's no denying. Don't even try it.
Got a great riff that opens that song and, slides right into the chorus. Great guitar solo, great melody. It's heavier. You could definitely hear that post Whitesnake 87. I mean, the guys joked on that Frontline Rewind where they talked about, hey, there's a David Coverdale in there somewhere. And honestly, I loved Whitesnake 87. So when Ken would sing in that slightly lower register, or maybe that, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And great song. When the Love Is Gone comes in at number 8. Sliding in to number 7, album opener from It Won't Be Long, Never Stop.
In time, it'll all work out. I know what I'm talking about. Never stop running. Never gonna stop. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Ain't giving up. Oh no.
definitely almost like a pop rock song. Chuck King mentioned, hearing Bryan Adams and Heart and Survivor, and you could really hear that on that song. Back then, that would have been an AM radio hit, probably. Frankly, in the San Francisco Bay Area, we didn't have Christian radio. We had it 9 to midnight, 7 nights a week on a very small station out of the South Bay. There was nothing else. There was no other Christian radio to speak of. And that would have been really helpful, I think. But Never Stop. Again, it's a poppy song. It's got a great hook. And it's memorable, right? Good stuff. Coming in there at number 7, Never Stop. Moving on. Number 6. From the In Your Face album, Faith, Hope, and Love. Tremendous vocal harmonies. I mean, they layered that on really thick. Sounds good. There's a key change later in the song. I have always enjoyed that album. In Your Face really is, it's a fantastic record. And, a lot of people will point to Rage of Angels as to that 80s sound. Kind of like Skid Row, Motley Crue, I suppose. But Shout was more melodic, kind of like Whitesnake. I guess you'd say kind of like Jafria. Kind of like maybe even White Lion to a degree. They really had, because they had that, I don't want to say a heavier version of Bon Jovi. I guess you could say that too. I'm not a big Bon Jovi fan, but that In Your Face record really does smoke. It's a great album. Faith, Hope, and Love comes in at number 6. Sliding in at number 5. Off of It Won't Be Long, Winners or Losers. With a nice drum sound there, more a mid-tempo rocker. It's a great tune. Melodic, of course, all their stuff is melodic. And that's always the catch, right? The earworm that keeps you coming back going, I can hear that again. I'll hear that again. And even though I didn't play It Won't Be Long a whole lot, because it just wasn't quite heavy enough back in the day, it's a record I do revisit many times. And here we are doing a top 10 today. So Winners or Losers comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, the only song they made a video for with a little AC/DC influence on that riff, Give Me an Answer.
Mistaken, it's hard to keep shaking it. I know this time it's a bad scene.
I remember when we first saw that video, it was like, wow, this is cool, because does Ken Tamplin really have all those stage clothes? which apparently later were all stolen at a show they did at Knott's Berry Farm. Oh my gosh. Seriously, listen to the Frontline Rewind, folks. If you're a fan of Shout and you haven't already done so, check it out. Give Me an Answer. Great guitar solo, great playing, and it's a driving tune that you just want to play. And you get to the end of the song, you hit rewind or replay on your CD player or on your iPod or whatever you use to listen to music, and just play it again. It's extremely catchy. No wonder they made the video for it. You can check that video out on YouTube, on the Frontline YouTube channel. So Give Me an Answer comes in at number 4. Coming in now, we're in the top 3. And in number 3 really is my favorite song off of the debut record. I remember listening to the whole album, and this was the one song that really caught me all the way through the first time. Showdown. Driving, upbeat, solid, fantastic vocals, and it was highly memorable. I remember playing that song and then going back on the vinyl and saying, I got to hear that again, because I'd buy the vinyl, go home, record it onto a cassette, and then play it later. And the thing was, back then, you didn't always get the album, cassette, and CD in the Christian market all at the same time. It just didn't happen. When they're ordering probably 5,000 CDs or 2,500 CDs from a CD plant, and a secular release is ordering 100,000 or 500,000 CDs, who's going to get the print first? So, I had the vinyl, bought the CD here a couple years ago on that remaster. Great stuff. But Showdown, always like that song, comes in at number 3. Now we're into the top 2, and these are 2 absolutely fantastic songs. And when I first heard number 2, I was like, I was in, I was sold, and I played that song consistently. I honestly, the first 4 songs on side 1 of In Your Face were absolutely just blew me away. Coming in at number 2, Borderline.
I don't know where it's at. You know it ain't my place. The thing I know for sure backfires in the
I love Tamplin's vocal. The keys are heavy on this. The guitars crunch. You've got a great solo. I love the chorus. Highly, highly memorable. When I saw Shout at Cornerstone in 89 or 90, it must have been 1990. I can't remember if that, I think that was the year Shout played, because In Your Face came out in 89, so I don't know if they played that year. I don't remember what time of year they came out. I think they played the following year, 1990, and they played on the main stage in the afternoon. But Borderline, oh my goodness, what a cranking song, and it was fantastic. Fantastic tune. How many more superlatives can I drag out as we come in to number 1? And at number 1, it's a shred fest because it's in your face. Pulls out all the stops, brings in all these outside players. Some of the licks are only 3 to 5 seconds long. Some of them are 10 to 20 seconds long. They're everywhere in this song. In the verses, in the chorus, in the breaks, in the intro, in the outro. They're everywhere. All of those guys get a chance to just rip it up. You know, Marty Friedman, Lanny Cordola, Joey Price. Oh goodness, now I got to pull it out again. I already went through all of this, who was on this song. It's a great song. And, you know, Michelangelo, Randy Hansen, Joey Price, Cordola, Friedman, Alex Massey, and then, of course, Ken plays in there too. Just, the guitar playing is in your face. The lyrics are in your face. The melody, everything about this song, it's a heavy metal song. You know, it's like you could have had Rob Rock sing lead vocals. You know, I mean, it's a melodic metal tune. There's nothing overtly commercial about it. It shreds, and it's a brilliant song that if you have never heard it before and you like melodic metal, you owe it to yourself to grab that. Of course, I played, 30, 45 seconds to give you a taste throughout this video. But I've went long on this video. What are your top 10 shout songs? Give them to me in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Again, sorry I went way overboard, way long on this. I hope you enjoy it. Share the video. Don't hesitate to say your prayers. And until next time, God bless.